Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Gaura Dhawanlal and with me is Anita Anand with the evening news. The headlines. CCEA approves FDI proposal of 15,000 crore rupees investment by Anchorage Infrastructure Investments Holding Limited. Cabinet approves highest ever fair and remunerative price of 290 rupees per quintal for sugarcane. Government to brief floor leaders of political parties on present situation in Afghanistan tomorrow. Makes e-visa mandatory for Afghan citizens travelling to India. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage in country crosses 60 crore mark. Centre to provide 2 crore additional vaccine doses in last week of August to immunize school teachers and staff. Reviews progress of COVID-19 vaccination with states and union territories. Bihar government relaxes COVID-19 restrictions, allows religious places, shopping malls and educational institutions to function normally. And in cricket, India bowled out for 78 runs by England in first innings on day 1 of third test at Leeds. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-239-78046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. The Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs, CCEA, has approved the FDI proposal for an investment of up to 15,000 crore rupees by Anchorage Infrastructure Investment Holding Limited. The investment will be a major boost to the infrastructure, construction and airport sectors. It will also be a significant boost to the recently announced National Monetization Pipeline as it will help fund leasing out of state-owned infrastructure assets, which involves handling assets like roads, railways, airports, sports stadiums, power transmission lines and gas pipelines to private operators. The investment will considerably substantiate the government's plan to develop world-class airports and transport-related infrastructure through private partnerships. The move will also generate indirect employment during construction and ancillary activities. The Cabinet has approved the highest ever fair and remunerative price of 290 rupees per quintal for sugarcane. While speaking to the media this afternoon, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution Minister Piyush Goyal said this decision will benefit 5 crore sugarcane farmers and their dependents. The minister said this will be immensely beneficial to 5 lakh workers employed in sugar mills and related ancillary activities.
फेयर एंड रेम्यूनरेटिव प्राइस एफआरपी जो शुगर केन पे दिया जाता है उसको बढ़ाकर अब 290 रुपए प्रति क्विंटल करने का निर्णय लिया गया जो 10% रिकवरी के ऊपर आधारित होगा। जब रिकवरी 10% से अधिक हो जाती है तो उसका प्रोपोर्शनेट 0.1% इंक्रीज के लिए हर 0.1% इंक्रीज के लिए अधिकांश 2 रुपए 90 पैसे प्रति क्विंटल और दिया जाता है और न्यूनतम बेसिक जो प्राइस मिलती है उसको भी 9.5% पर रोका गया है कि 9.5% से कम अगर किसी किसान का रिकवरी होती है तो 9.5% पे ही आधारित उनको 275 रुपए 50 पैसे प्रति क्विंटल उनको भी मिलेगा अगर 9.5% से नीचे भी हो तो।
The minister said the government is also facilitating ethanol production, which is benefiting farmers.
यानी आज जो 15,000 करोड़ रुपए इथेनॉल की वजह से किसानों को मिल रहा है इस क्षेत्र में जिससे लगातार सुधार भी हो रहा है, रिकवरी अच्छी मिल रही है, वही बढ़ के 40,000 करोड़ रुपए प्रतिवर्ष इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग की वजह से इस सेक्टर को मिलेगा और उसके कारण हमारे गन्ना किसानों को समय पे पैसा भी भुगतान हो पाएगा और हमारे जो उपभोक्ता हैं उनके ऊपर भी जो बोझ है या जो शुगर की प्राइस है वो भी बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ने की आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ेगी। तो एक प्रकार से केंद्र सरकार ने दोनों हितों को संभाला है।
Home Minister Amit Shah has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for increasing the fair and remunerative price for sugarcane farmers. He said Modi government has taken many steps from time to time for the prosperity and empowerment of farmers. He said that this decision taken in the direction of smooth farming, self-reliant farmer will increase the export of sugar and production of ethanol, which will increase the income of sugarcane growers. The Cabinet has also approved the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and the Institute of Professional Accountants of Russia.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chaired the meeting of the 37th edition of Pragati, the ICT-based multimodal platform for proactive governance and timely implementation involving centre and state governments. In the meeting, 9 agenda items were taken for review, including 8 projects and 1 scheme. Among the 8 projects, 3 projects each were from the Ministry of Railways and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and 2 projects were from the Ministry of Power. These 8 projects have a cumulative cost of 1,26,000 crore rupees involving 14 states. The Prime Minister stressed on the significance of the timely completion of these projects. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will brief floor leaders of political parties on the present situation in Afghanistan tomorrow at Parliament House Annex in New Delhi. The minister said in a tweet that in view of developments in Afghanistan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has instructed that he brief floor leaders of political parties. Over 600 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan till now. India evacuated people on several flights from Kabul, Dushanbe and Doha. The mission to evacuate people from Kabul has been named Operation Devi Shakti. The External Affairs Ministry has said that owing to the prevailing security situation in Afghanistan and streamlining of the visa process by the introduction of the E-Emergency X miscellaneous visa, all Afghan nationals must now travel to India only on an E-visa. It said that keeping in view some reports that certain passports of Afghan nationals have been misplaced, previously issued visas to all Afghan nationals who are not presently in India stand invalidated with immediate effect. Afghan nationals wishing to travel to India may apply for an e-visa at www.indianvisaonline.gov.in.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab this afternoon. The conversation focused on developments in Afghanistan. Dr. Jaishankar also spoke to Saudi MOS for Foreign Affairs Adel Al-Jubair and discussed regional and multilateral issues. He welcomed relaxation of COVID restrictions on travel. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval hosted the inaugural meeting of the IBSA National Security Advisors through video conferencing today. During the meeting, discussions were held on maritime security, fight against terrorism and transnational organized crime, and cyber security. Participants agreed that terrorism, in particular cross-border terrorism, undertaken through state sponsorship, continues to be the most potent threat to global peace and security and must be fought through united efforts. They also agreed to enhance cooperation in intelligence sharing, exchange of best practices amongst concerned national agencies, and capacity building. The meeting was convened as part of the preparatory process for the next IBSA Summit of Leaders, which is scheduled to take place during India's chairship of IBSA. India, Brazil and South Africa are 3 large developing countries located in 3 different continents bound by common values of democracy and pluralism. They are also all maritime nations.
Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat held a meeting with the Commander of the United States Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral John C. Aquilino, in New Delhi today. Issues related to peace and security in the region and bilateral defence cooperation were a part of the agenda for the meeting. Admiral Aquilino also held meetings with the 3 service chiefs and Defence Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar. The Indian Air Force IAF Chief, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria, outlined his vision for the Software Development Institute SDI to move towards software indigenization for the integration of various weapons on IAF aircrafts and achieving self-reliance in enhancing combat potential. During his two-day visit, the Air Chief Marshal visited Air Force units and flight test establishments and facilities of Defence Research and Development Organisation and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited at Bengaluru.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. CCEA approves FDI proposal of 15,000 crore rupees investment by Anchorage Infrastructure Investments Holdings Limited. Cabinet approves the highest ever fair and remunerative price of 290 rupees per quintal for sugarcane. Government to brief floor leaders of political parties on present situation in Afghanistan tomorrow. Makes e-visa mandatory for Afghan citizens travelling to India. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage in country crosses 60 crore mark. Centre to provide 2 crore additional vaccine doses in last week of August to immunize school teachers and staff. Reviews progress of COVID-19 vaccination with states and union territories. Bihar government relaxes COVID-19 restrictions, allows religious places, shopping malls and educational institutions to function normally. And in cricket, India bowled out for 78 runs by England in first innings on day one of third test at Leeds. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
In a significant achievement, India's cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed the 60 crore mark. The Union Health Ministry said more than 66 lakh vaccine doses were administered today. It said the COVID recovery rate in the country stands at 97.67%. More than 34,000 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. India reported over 37,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. The centre will provide 2 crore additional vaccine doses in the last week of this month to immunize school teachers across the country on a priority basis. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan today chaired a high-level meeting with all states and union territories. He said states and union territories may use the Unified District Information System of Education data and coordinate with state education departments, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan and Navodaya Vidyalaya Sangathan. This will provide the necessary fillip to this vaccination program. During the meeting, the progress of COVID-19 vaccination was reviewed and states were advised to focus on enhancing second dose coverage as well as the immunization of school teachers and staff members. States were apprised on the prompt utilization of emergency COVID response package funds. They were also advised to ensure compliance of COVID-appropriate behavior and other precautionary measures ahead of the upcoming festival season. He cited the example of Kerala, where a visible rise of cases has been registered over the past week post-Onam.
Kerala reported very high surge in COVID cases as it confirms 31,445 new positive cases today. The test positivity rate crossed 19% mark for the first time since 3 months. The sudden surge in COVID cases comes after the Onam and Eid festival celebrations in the state. 215 deaths were also confirmed due to COVID today, taking the death toll to 19,972. Meanwhile, the State Health Minister Veena George informed that the Health Department has launched an intensive program to screen and conduct large-scale COVID testing in the wake of higher number of cases being reported in the state. The Bihar government today announced a significant easing of COVID-19 restrictions in the next stage of unlock in the state. This decision was taken at the meeting of Crisis Management Group chaired by Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. New guidelines will be effective from tomorrow till 25th of September. As per the new guidelines, all shops, establishments, shopping malls, parks, gardens and religious places can function normally. All universities, colleges, technical institutes, coaching institutes, schools from classes 1st to 12th will be resumed offline. Universities, colleges and schools have been allowed to hold examinations. Cinema halls, clubs, swimming pools, gyms and restaurants allowed to function at 50% customer strength.
The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta Series, will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19 tonight. Dr. A.K. Varshney of RML Hospital will participate in the live discussion. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today reviewed the performance of 12 public sector banks in an annual review meeting held in Mumbai. She unveiled the Enhanced Access and Service Excellence EASE 3.0 report and gave EASE 3.0 awards to the best performing public sector banks. Ms. Sitharaman handed over EASE 3.0 awards to Canara Bank, Punjab National Bank, Indian Bank, Union Bank of India, Bank of Baroda and State Bank of India for their achievements in clean and smart banking. She also launched EASE 4.0 on the occasion. EASE is a common reform agenda for PSBs aimed at institutionalizing clean and smart banking.
Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav today said government will support startups and entrepreneurs in the most challenging phase, which is the initial risk phase. He also stated that India will scale up the network of incubators and accelerators to phenomenal levels to serve 1.3 billion people. Speaking at the launch of Startup Accelerators of MeitY for Product Innovation, Development and Growth Samriddh scheme, the minister said the initiative will not only provide funding support to the startups, but will also help in bringing skill sets together, which will help them to become successful. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has urged the states and union territories to rationalize value-added tax VAT on aviation turbine fuel across all airports within the range of 1 to 4%. The price of ATF is a major component of the operating cost of airlines. He has written a letter to 22 states and union territories in this regard. Mr. Scindia asked them to take forward common intention to boost air travel and connectivity in states with a view to accelerate its economic development.
President Ramnath Kovind will reach Lucknow on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. During the visit, the President will take part in various programs in Lucknow, Gorakhpur and Ayodhya. We have a detailed report.
Tomorrow, the President will grace the 9th convocation of the Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University in Lucknow. On August 27, the President will unveil a statue of Dr. Sampoornanand, former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, and inaugurate an auditorium at the Captain Manoj Pandey Sainik School in Lucknow. On the same day, he will also grace the 26th convocation of the Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Lucknow. On August 28, the President will lay the foundation stone for the Mahayogi Guru Gorakhnath Ayush Mahavidyalaya and inaugurate the Mahayogi Gorakhnath Vishwavidyalaya at Gorakhpur. On August 29, President will visit Ayodhya by train from Lucknow, where he will launch various projects of the Department of Culture and Tourism, Government of Uttar Pradesh. The President will also visit the construction site of Sri Ram Temple and perform puja. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The government will launch the eShram Portal National Database on Unorganized Workers, NDUW, tomorrow. Unveiling the logo for the eShram Portal, Labour and Employment Minister Bhupendra Yadav said the targeted identification of unorganized workers was a much-needed step.
Congress leader and the in charge of party affairs in Punjab, Harish Rawat, today said that the state assembly elections in 2022 will be contested under Chief Minister Amrinder Singh's leadership. The announcement came after 4 party ministers and 3 MLAs demanded Captain Amrinder Singh's removal during their meeting with Mr. Rawat in Dehradun. This is All India Radio giving you the news.
Azadi Ka Safar every day with All India Radio from Monday the 16th of August. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you the story of glorious struggle and sacrifices of freedom fighters on 100.1 FM Gold channel in the English news bulletins at 8:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Stay tuned.
Let's listen now to our special program Azadi Ka Safar.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day. This day in 1943, Subhash Chandra Bose became the Supreme Commander of the Indian National Army, INA, or Azad Hind Fauj. The INA was formed in September 1942 by Ras Bihari Bose in Southeast Asia during the World War II with the purpose of an armed fight for India's independence, but soon it was disbanded. It was revived under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose after his arrival in Southeast Asia in 1943. It was in early 1943 that Bose recognized that Southeast Asia, with its large overseas Indian population, was the fertile ground for establishing an anti-colonial force to fight the British.
मैं इस जिम्मेदारी को कबूल करता हूँ, लेकिन निहायत नम्रता के साथ और खुदा से दुआ मांगता हूँ कि उन्होंने हमें वो ताकत, वो जोश और वो बहादुरी दें.
In January 1943, the Japanese invited Bose to lead the Indian nationalist movement in East Asia.
旧インド仮政府批判スバス・チャンドラ・ボース氏は空路ビルマに到着。日本と共にアジア解放の戦いに駒を進める。
Subhash Chandra Bose was one of India's most prominent nationalist leaders who advocated armed struggle as the only way to free India.
I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battles will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free.
Netaji named the brigades of INA after Gandhi, Nehru, Maulana Azad and himself. There was also an all-women regiment named after Rani of Jhansi, Lakshmi Bai. Under his leadership, the INA drew ex-prisoners and thousands of civilian volunteers from the Indian expatriate population in Southeast Asia. The armed resistance of INA and their sacrifices are etched in people's memory forever.
August is also important in the history of the Indian freedom struggle because it is the birth anniversary of the famous freedom fighter Ganapati Agraharam Annadurai Ayyar Natesan. He was born in 1873 in Tanjavur. In 1900, he started the Indian Review, a monthly publication in English. The paper covered mostly nationalistic themes. When Mahatma Gandhi visited Madras for the first time since his arrival in India in 1915, he stayed at Natesan's house for almost a month. G.A. Natesan, who was a prolific writer and a journalist, established his own publishing company in 1897. He was a well-known publisher of Gandhian literature, including speeches and writings of Bapu.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
As part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, All India Radio News will broadcast the heroic story of Bhim Nayak, a brave soldier of Nima region in Madhya Pradesh who fought valiantly against the British in the freedom movement. Titled Veer Gatha in Hindi, the first episode will go on air tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. in the program Parikrama. It will be broadcast every week on Thursday at the same time in Parikrama. Keep listening to All India Radio News and join us in Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
The Jal Shakti Ministry today began Sujalam, a 100-day campaign as a part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations to create more open defecation-free ODF plus villages by undertaking wastewater management at the village level. During this campaign, 10 lakh soak pits will be created. The ministry said the effort of the campaign would be directed towards achieving the ODF plus status for villages across the country in an accelerated manner in a short time. The campaign will continue to run for the next 100 days. The focus area of this campaign is to ensure that all newly emerging households in the village will have access to toilets. The Union Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur today interacted with Indian athletes and medal winners of the World Under-20 Athletics Championship. Appreciating the performance of the players during the championship, Mr. Thakur said the Indian players performed well and this shows that India can do better in athletics.
हमारे खिलाड़ियों ने बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया है। अमित खत्री, शैली सिंह ने जहां एक और सिल्वर मेडल जीता और शैली सिंह का तो मात्र 1 सेंटीमीटर से गोल्ड मेडल चुका है। ये अपने आप में दिखाता है कि जहां भारत ने पहले से बहुत बेहतर प्रदर्शन किया, हमारे एथलीट्स ने और अच्छा करना शुरू किया, वहीं पर बाकी खिलाड़ियों ने भी, चाहे अब्दुल रज़ाक हो, भरत श्रीधर हो, प्रिया मोहन हो, सुमी हो, कपिल हो, इन सब ने ब्रॉन्ज मेडल जीते। ये एक अच्छी पहल है।
Indian paddlers Bhavina Ben Patel and Sonalben Manubhai Patel began their campaigns with opening round defeats in their respective events at the Tokyo Paralympics today. Competing in the women's Class 3 category, Sonalben was ahead after the first 3 games but lost momentum to lose the game against Li Chuan of China, who is a world number 4 and Rio Paralympics silver medalist in a tightly contested match. On the other hand, Bhavina Ben, who was also up against world number 1 Chinese paddler Zhao Jing, went down tamely in the women's singles Class 4 group. In cricket, on the first day of the third test at Headingley in Leeds, hosts England were 36-0 against India when reports last came in. Earlier, after opting to bat, India were bowled out for 78 in just 40.4 overs in the first innings, courtesy of a 3-wicket haul each by England's James Anderson and Craig Overton. The visitors went into the game unchanged from their winning combination at Lord's, while the hosts brought in David Malan and Craig Overton for this test. After a memorable win at Lord's, India is looking to carry on the momentum.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 28 and 36 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 32 degrees. Chennai is expected to have thunderstorms with rain. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Srinagar will have a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 19 and 32 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have partly cloudy skies, becoming generally cloudy towards the afternoon or evening or night. Leh is expected to have a mainly clear sky. Gilgit will have partly cloudy skies. Muzaffarabad will have thunderstorms. Guwahati, Imphal, Aizawl, Kohima and Shillong are likely to have generally cloudy skies with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Itanagar and Gangtok are expected to have generally cloudy skies with heavy rain. Bengaluru will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And in Puducherry, the temperature will vary between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. And now, before we close, the headlines once again. CCEA approves FDI proposal of 15,000 crore rupees investment by Anchorage Infrastructure Investments Holdings Limited. Cabinet approves highest ever fair and remunerative price of 290 rupees per quintal for sugarcane. Government to brief floor leaders of political parties on present situation in Afghanistan tomorrow. Makes e-visa mandatory for Afghan citizens travelling to India. Cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage in country crosses 60 crore mark. Sent to provide 2 crore additional vaccine doses in last week of August to immunize school teachers and staff. Reviews progress of COVID-19 vaccination with states and union territories. Bihar government relaxes COVID-19 restrictions, allows religious places, shopping malls and educational institutions to function normally. And in cricket, India bowled out for 78 runs by England in first innings on day 1 of third test at Leeds. And with that we end the evening news. Good night.